What's going on, everybody? This is the American Power Hour. I'm your host, Nick Metcalf, and I'm joined here today by the greatest co-host in streaming history, Mackenzie. What's going on, Mackenzie? How you doing today? Have you read the recent news? You got your gingerbread man back there? You got your blanket going? You're licking yourself now. Alrighty. Well, today is Monday, January 12th. I need to crack open a little drink. Got my drink going right now. Little caffeine, little Diet Mountain Dew. Did you know, little fun fact here about Diet Mountain Dew. Do you know what the first two ingredients are in Diet Mountain Dew? What's up, Christy? How you doing today? Happy Monday. Ooh, nice little pop action. The first two ingredients of Diet Mountain Dew is water and orange juice. Is Diet Mountain Dew a better way to start your morning than straight up orange juice? It's a hell of a lot less sugar. Just say that right now. Oh man, a lot of news. Orange juice, yes. Concentrated OJ. The first two ingredients, you could read it there. Water, concentrated orange juice. And then a bunch of other ingredients we don't need to go into. But starting off strong with the first two ingredients of Diet Mountain Dew. I will say the zero sugar Mountain Dew does not have the same ingredients. They took out the OJ. I don't know why. So on Friday, we did a live streaming of the Chauffeur. Live streaming of the Chauffeur. It's a short movie that I had the pleasure of being in. It was awesome. The video is doing good too on YouTube. It has almost 2,000 views on the movie on YouTube, which is pretty cool. So thank you to everyone who, Christy, thank you. Everyone who went over to the video and dropped a comment or watched it even, gave it a like. Everything helps. So thank you so much. Okay. All right. Let's get this rolling here. I don't have any food today. And the reason for that is because last night I made a family pack of pork chops. I made some fried pork chops in the air fryer, and it was great. I'll tell you what, my new thing now is, what's it? Feb is how you do the, flour, egg, breadcrumbs. And I've been doing like some flour with like a little bit of cornstarch. I drop the pork chop in there or chicken or whatever it may be. I drop that in the little flour cornstarch mixture. Cornstarch is key, said Christy. I think so as well. And then I put it in the egg, and then with the egg, I put a little dash of milk in there just to make it a little bit richer, if you will. So after that, I used Walmart breadcrumbs, and they weren't as good as panko. So if anyone's out there wondering, should I save the extra 75 cents and get the Walmart breadcrumbs? In my opinion, it's worth it to just go with the regular panko. If you want that crisp, if you want that crispy shell on the outside, you're going to want to go with panko. But that's just what I did last night. I have like four more pork chops in there. We had it for dinner last night with some veggies and some rice. So, yeah, very good night last night. If you guys watched football, the Buffalo Bills won. Like I told you guys, the Buffalo Bills, I told you guys this last week. The Buffalo Bills had to go to Jacksonville, and they were going to beat Jacksonville, which I told you guys last week. They did that. I also told you last week that after Jacksonville, they'll go to Denver and beat Denver in Denver, and then they'll go to the Patriots up in New England and beat the Pats in New England. It's just, hate to be that guy, but it's the script. It's just the script. The Bills had to go through years of being tortured by the New England Patriots. And this is the year where the Buffalo Bills go to New England and beat New England to get into the Super Bowl. And then from there, I don't know who they'll beat in the Super Bowl. Probably San Francisco, because Josh Allen grew up a San Francisco 49ers fan because he lived in that, general vicinity. So it would be very fitting if the script plays out the way it's supposed to play out. Now, you never know, refs betting on games. You never really know what could happen. But I'm just telling you guys the script portion of it. We'll see how they stick to it. So some news. Let's get to the news, right? Venezuela, Greenland, Syria, Iran. Let's just start adding a bunch of other random places in there. What's up, Zeke Weave? How you doing today? How are you today, my man? Thanks for being here on this beautiful Monday, January 12th. I was looking a little bit more into the Greenland thing. And Greenland's, a lot of people have the opinion of, Trump is evil for trying to get Greenland. We've been trying to get Greenland since the 1800s. This is not a new thing. I really have a lot of questions about, why is this all happening right now? At the exact moment where we get Venezuela, we're trying to get Greenland, we're bombing Syria, we're setting the pretense for regime change in Iran. It seems like there's a lot of shit going down all at the same time. And my biggest question is do they know, do you guys think, let me ask you guys this, do you guys think that the government has information that we don't have? Because if they do, there could be information that the government has that we don't have that would give them reason to want to go after Venezuela, Greenland, Syria, Iran. Christie said at all times. So what if, there's a couple different questions. Could all this be going on and then it could cause a World War III? Maybe. Potentially. But at the same time, what if all this is to prevent a World War III? Right? There's China is a major player involved with Greenland. They've been trying to acquire Greenland for a long time. And I believe it's Denmark that has been kind of on the fence with China. And that wouldn't be good for the United States of America. I think everybody knows that. I think that's a very obvious thing. If China has full control of Greenland, that's not the best thing for the United States or the people of the United States of America. So, the biggest thing here, Denmark gives Greenland, I think it's $500 million per year, right? $500 million. And that's kind of the deal that they've worked out. If the United States come along and they say, hey, we want to give you $2 billion per year, $2 billion compared to $500 million, I think probably that's somewhere along the lines of what is going on behind the scenes, some sort of deal like that, where the USA is going to make an offer that's going to be very, very difficult for Greenland to resist, right? Because if Denmark's giving you 500 mil and then somebody else comes along and says, hey, we'll give you $2 billion a year, going to help build like infrastructure, the rare earth minerals that are underneath all the ice in Greenland, that aren't currently. It's almost kind of like a Venezuela type of situation where Venezuela had all these, had all the oil, the minerals, and everything. Excuse me, but they weren't really extracting it in a efficient manner. So Greenland is kind of similar to Venezuela in that manner, where they have all these rare earth minerals and they're not really using them to their advantage as a country. So that's when USA comes in and says, hey, we'll give you $2 billion and we'll help with all of these extractions of these rare earth minerals. Now, there's a big argument going on, do the people of Greenland want this? I'm pretty sure that there's like 50,000 people that live in Greenland. And basically what will most likely happen, I think, is that the government of Greenland will vote on this. And if the USA is making an offer that they cannot refuse, they'll most likely vote to become a part of the United States of America. And I had mentioned this last time on the show. I think it was on Wednesday's stream. If it works out great for America and it works out great for Greenlanders, Greenland becomes stronger, America becomes stronger, Greenland becomes richer, that's most likely a positive all-around win-win-win situation, right? At the same time, like I said earlier, it could be a win-win-win situation on all these fronts, and also at the same time, it could potentially prevent World War III. Now, by the same token, things could go miserably, right? It could end up leading to World War III. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword here. It's risky. I think that isn't the game called Risk? Isn't there a game called Risk? So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. The Venezuela thing, regime change in Iran is something that's really being looked at right now. There's, I think, hundreds of people who are protesting in the streets of Iran, and they want regime change. Not hundreds of people protesting, I'm sorry. There's thousands of people protesting in the streets of Iran for regime change, and hundreds have been killed by the government. Hundreds of people have been killed, hundreds of protesters have been killed in Iran by the government because they're protesting for regime change. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I've heard rumblings of like, Israel wants regime change in Iran. That's why we're going to go, end up doing it. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Let's go to, listen. So on Wednesday's stream, I was told that a woman was sitting in her vehicle. And an ICE officer jumped on her car and shot her in the head as she was just merely sitting in her vehicle. And I'm like, that's weird. I was like, what the heck? That sounds horrible, tragic. And then the next question I asked was, how long was the video that you saw? Because I was told there's a video, you can see it. She was just sitting in her car, just an innocent woman, and ICE shot her in the head. And my first thought, like I said, horrible, tragic. How long was the video that we're seeing? And the answer was like 30 seconds. So my brain just instantly goes to, okay, if the video is only 30 seconds, that means we have no idea what she was doing before that. And the narrative, what we were told, is that she was just a mother dropping off her kid at daycare, and she was trying to make a 3-point turn. That was false. I don't know why that narrative was put out, other than to try to brainwash people into thinking a certain way before the real actual information got out. Because if you can brainwash people before the real actual information comes out, now you got an army. Now you got an army of overly emotional people who you've made overly emotional because of the way in which this whole thing has been framed, right? Now, like I've said before, there were bad choices by both individuals involved in this tragedy. I think that's totally fair to say. Let's take a look at the video. Let's take a look at the video where we were told that Renee Good, the woman in the vehicle, we were told that Renee Good was merely just a mother dropping her child off at daycare, and she was just making a 3-point turn, and an ICE officer jumped on her vehicle and shot her in the head. Let's take a look at the full video so we can get some context on what was actually going on that day. Let me get this video rolled up here. Here it is. Okay, let me make this full screen. So this is a 3-minute long video that we're watching here. And it looks like it's taken from somebody's house of the actual street. And we're going to take a look here and try to see what's going on. Okay, so you're seeing ICE officers, you're seeing a bunch of cars on a one-way road, and now here is Renee Good in her vehicle, perpendicular to the road. In the middle, she's parked in the middle of a one-way road. So right off the bat, it's a one-way road. So was she just making a 3-point turn to turn around after dropping her child off at daycare? Was she just making it a 3-point turn? The answer is no. She was clearly not making a 3-point turn to just go the other way, because it's a one-way road, right? I think that we've established that. Zeke, we've said, what state is this in? This is in Minnesota. Shout out to the Vikings, dude. So here she is, right? Renee Good. She is seen dancing in her vehicle. And can you guys hear the video? I can't hear it right now. I've already heard it, so I don't need to hear it again. It's a bit obnoxious. But she is in her vehicle, parked in the middle of the road, blaring her horn and, hitting her horn and like dancing and laughing and dancing, which seems to not be the story of an innocent woman who was just dropping her child off at daycare and making a 3-point turn. That information seemed to be manipulation. Mental manipulation, right? It's clear at this point. See? You can see her doing a little shimmy dance and, hitting her horn. And so, okay, let's keep this video rolling here and try to see what happens. This video will not show the shooting, so you don't have to worry about any blood or anything. It's cuts out, I do believe, right before that happened. So as you can see here, there's vehicles and there's people trying to get around her. And like I said, she's parked in the middle of the road, so she's blocking traffic. And yet, okay, so we just saw a vehicle go past her. It seems like she is blocking traffic and then at the same time waving certain cars past her car, directing traffic. So now she's directing traffic. Oh, and here we have the ICE vehicle pulls up. The man gets out of the car, and oh, here we have a zoomed out view now. You can see the vehicle parked right in the middle of the road, which is an interesting spot. I'll tell you what, if that's a 3-point turn, that's the slowest 3-point turn I've ever seen in my entire life. The worst 3-point turn, dude. On a one-way road as well. So now we see the ICE vehicle pulling up. And it's almost over. This video's almost over. Like I said, this video gives us context as to what she was doing there that day. She was not just a mother dropping off her children at the daycare and doing a 3-point turn. She was, in fact, attempting to block federal agents from doing their job. That was her goal. There are multiple interviews with people who were there this day, who watched the whole thing happen and said, yeah, she was the head of the snake. She was like the head of these protesters, you know? So let's see here. This is where they get out. They get out of the car. They tell her, hey, get out of the car. Get out of the car. They tell her, get out of the car. And instead, she disobeys the orders. Oh, so you guys couldn't hear it. So it was just honking. It was literally just straight up her honking her vehicle, her honking her horn. Got to change back. So, yeah, she was just in the middle of the road honking her horn. Christy said, that's wild. I hadn't seen that POV yet. Yeah, a lot of people haven't seen that POV because what it shows is context. And when you have context to a situation, it's more difficult to brainwash people. When you only have a 30-second long clip from only one angle, you can easily position that as anything you wish. And you can tell a backstory. Oh, this innocent woman was just making a 3-point turn after dropping her kids off at daycare. And now we have full context of what she was actually doing there. So, I mean, listen. Like I said before, there were poor choices made on that day by both parties involved. If you're a mother out there, and I'm not a mother, I'm a dog dad right now, hopefully a dad, in the future. I'm not a parent yet, but I just think to myself, man, if I wanted to put my children first and really be the best parent that I can to my children, my priority would be always being there for my children. Therefore, I would never put myself into a situation where it could go south quick. I think that's fair to say. That if you're just a normal protester, doing your thing, being a protester, and you have a sign on the sidewalk and you're doing your thing, yay! Hey, listen, I'm all for the right to protest. But when you're a parent and you put yourself into a situation where it's potentially a compromising situation, when you're preventing law enforcement from doing their job, that's a potentially compromising situation to put yourself into. Things could go bad really quick. I think that's really fair to say. So would somebody who prioritizes being a parent, would they put themselves into that type of situation? I don't know. I think that's somebody that prioritizes their own political agenda over being a parent. That's what it seems to me. Because she could have prioritized being a parent And also, right underneath it, still gone and protested, still gone and stood on the sidewalk and, chanting and, they got the drums going, dude. They got like AC/DC and shit there in Minneapolis. Like you can do that and not put yourself in a position where things could get bad for you really quickly. And I think we all can agree that things went bad really quickly. Christy said, as a mother, that is exactly right. I would never put myself in a compromising situation knowing my kids need me. So, yeah, that's how it seems to me. It's because again, they're positioning this as a innocent mother who just cared about her kids so much that she was just dropping them off at daycare, and she was doing the right thing and making a quality 3-point turn, and she's an incredible mother, and she's an innocent woman. And it's like, well, wait a second, like we have context now of everything that's happened, and it seems as if she didn't prioritize being a mother at the very tippy top of her things to do that day. And it sucks and it's sad to say, but that's what the facts tell us. That's what the information that we have tells us. Christy said, like you mentioned before, both sides can be wrong. What that ICE agent did may have been too far, but she wasn't just an innocent bystander. Yes, exactly, Christy. And let's get to the ICE agent now. Why are you standing in front of the vehicle, dude? Listen, we watched that video of that woman dancing in her car while blaring the horn. That's not a normal person. If I said, hey guys, today I'm going to go park my vehicle perpendicularly in the street to block federal agents from doing their job, do you think that's a good idea? Do we think that that's a smart decision? If you think that that's a smart decision and that's a fantastic idea, then you might not be the most sane person. I'm just going to say that right now. You might be slightly compromised if you believe that spending your time, your best use of your time is to go block federal agents from doing their job. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of a crazy thing to say. And if a friend or a family member ever told me like, yo, Nick, I'm going to go block these ICE agents from doing their job with my vehicle. Like, what do you think about that? I'd be like, dude, think about it for a minute before you jump into doing something like that. Let's play this out, right? How is this going to go? How is this going to go? So the ICE agent needs to understand that these people that they're dealing with are people that are not making rational decisions. It's not a rational decision to go, I'm going to go park my car in front of the ICE agents and block them. And then when they tell me to get out of my car, I'm going to not do what they say. I'm going to flee. I'm going to flee the situation. I'm going to floor my vehicle and get out of here. These are not the thoughts of a rational human being. So the ICE agents need to know, and there's most likely not rational ICE agents as well, making it an even worse situation, because what rational guy is going to stand in front of a vehicle of a person who's already making irrational decisions? The woman was already making irrational decisions that day. Would I go stand in front of that woman's vehicle? Hell no. Hell no. That's a horrible decision. Terrible. Christy said, if someone is determined to block you, a federal agent, they will not be intimidated by you standing in front of a car. Awful decision. Yes. Yeah, exactly. She saw that agent standing in front of her car and she thought, I don't care. I don't care that there's an agent, a federal agent standing in front of my car. I'm going to floor it. Mackenzie, you all right? You all right over there, buddy? So she's like sleeping or something. Christy said, just get the license plate and let her drive away. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that it's the whole thing is a big mess because there were irrational decisions made by both parties. And it's sad. You know, it's sad. One of the most sad things, like I said earlier, is the misinformation. Because when you frame things a certain way, you can brainwash people before they get all the information. And then once they do get all the information, they're already brainwashed and have a bias, so they will reject that information. That's really the saddest part about all this. Is the same guy that told me Pete Hegseth has a swastika tattoo was also the person who told us here in the chat that she was just an innocent bystander who was just sitting in her car making, trying to make a 3-point turn, and ICE jumped on the hood of her car and shot her in the face. So there's very clearly some misinformation going on, and it seems that when that misinformation comes out, it's not being checked. We're not exactly doing due diligence when it comes to this type of misinformation. And it's sad, and it's coming from both sides. I think Trump had said like the ICE agent is like nursing his broken foot or something in the hospital. I don't know how true that is. We don't know how true that is. And that's information to make you think and feel a certain way. Very sad, the whole situation. So that's my whole take on this thing is, I know some people are like, oh, she deserved it, and then other people are like, she was just a innocent person, and I don't know if either of those radical sides are the answer to this situation. Christy said, we're in a day and age where if something aligns with what you like, it's automatically fact. No need to check. Exactly, yeah. People see a piece of content, and if they agree with it, then it's fact. So, yeah, I really wanted to show that the full context video. Because at the end of the day, the clips is how we can position misinformation. And when we have the full context of things, I wish that video didn't cut out. That video cuts out like as she's hitting the guy and he's shooting. And there's a far enough video away where you're not going to see like blood spatter or anything like that. So I wish that video would show the whole thing. But what that video does give us context of is what she was doing beforehand. Her goal was to terrorize ICE. That's what she was there to do. She was like the head of the snake. There's an interview with a woman who lives at the house that it happened right in front of. And she was like, yeah, like Renee was doing a great job, like being the blocker of ICE. Like that was her job that day. And that's why I didn't jump to conclusions on Wednesday when I was told by the chat of what happened. Because we got to wait. We got to wait for the information to come out. And even on Friday, I didn't really touch on it that much. And over the weekend, we get this 3-minute long context video, and it's like, okay, so she wasn't just an innocent, because there's videos going around of like, that could have been you in that vehicle to try to make you scared. That could have been you being taken out by ice. She was just making a 3-point turn. She was just a mother who was a poet. And she was an innocent, amazing, incredible human being just like you. And ice can kill you just like that. It's like, what? What are you talking about? Christy said it simply could not have been me, actually. Yeah, exactly. That's the context of the video will make people be like, oh, that never could have been me because I never would have put myself in that position in the first place. It's a dumb position to put yourself in the first place, as is standing in front of a vehicle like that. If you're the ICE officer, both people made very dumb, poor decisions that day. And it's a tragedy. And it's stupid. All of this is stupid, dude. All the prospering, I don't know if that's the right word, all the positioning of media and clipping certain things at certain timestamps to fit the narrative of what they're supposed to push to brainwash you and make you think things that aren't real. It's gross, dude. It's gross. And I think, I don't know where this is heading. It seems like some people, and there's videos now. I don't know how real the videos are, though. But there's videos of protesters telling news stations that they're being paid, that they get compensation. Now it could be a fake video. Who knows? But I will say, if there are people getting paid for protesting, don't be a loser, dude. Get the bag. If you're protesting and you're not getting paid money, what is this? Oh, there's something going on. Something going on here. If you're a protester and you're not getting paid, dude, get your bag. There's people that are protesting that are literally getting paid to protest. Now, the video that I saw, I don't know how real the video is. It seemed like it was real, but at the same token, I don't want to show something that potentially is not real. But what is real is that there is real. What is real is there are, in fact, paid protesters. That's a fact. Cannot be argued against. It's not a conspiracy theory. So yeah, if you're out there protesting and you're not getting paid money for it, dude, you need to talk to the people that are involved with it and get your money. All right? No more free protesting out here. Get your bag, George Soros. I'm kidding. Potentially. Get your bag, dude. Get your money. Man. So yeah, regime change in Iran. Christy said, got to find those Craigslist job listings. Yeah, it's happening all over the place, and they do sneaky backdoor ways to do it. Not actually getting paid to protest, but getting paid to be like an organizer of an event is what they call it. So. Yeah, get your money. Regime change in Iran is an interesting one. It seems like there are thousands of people in Iran who want this. They are protesting. They are in the streets protesting. Pappy Magnum said, some people protest because they believe in a cause and aren't after money, None of my friends are getting to speak out. None of my friends are getting paid to speak out against this nonsense. Why not, dude? Get your money. There's people who are being paid to protest, and you're telling me that your friends aren't getting paid. I'd be like, dude, what are you doing? Because you could be getting paid to do this. Wouldn't that be better? These are your two options. Get paid to protest for a cause that you support, right? You still support the cause. Still, if it's your narrative, your political narrative, and what you believe in, or do the same thing and not get money from it. I mean, if those are your two options, Pappy Magnum said, yes, let me go to the paid protester store and collect some money. It's just that easy. No, you got to do a little digging. You got to do a little research. You got to find the people that are involved. You got to do the work. You can't just show up and be like, hey, where's the money, man? You got to do your research into who's running the protests and how you can, be compensated for your organization of this event. You have to use the right language. You can't say, hey, can I get paid to protest? You got to be smart about it. Hey, I'm helping organize this event. Are there any kickbacks potentially? Oh, yes. Oh, yes, there are. You came to the right place. So back to Iran, the regime change in Iran. This will be an interesting one because it seems as though I think 85% of Iran want democracy. 85% of the people that live in Iran want democracy. And they're protesting against the current regime in Iran. The current regime in Iran are killing the protesters by the hundreds. It seems like a bad situation over there. You guys in the chat, are you guys pro regime change in Iran? Or are you against regime change in Iran? And why? What is the reason for your position? I would love to hear it. If you guys want to drop a comment, if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook after the fact, because I do post these on the American Power Hour YouTube, on the American Power Hour Facebook, and the Rumble as well. We got a little Rumble action going on. Are we against regime change in Iran? Or are we for it? I haven't really done too much digging on it. I know that people are protesting it. I know that some people are for it. Some people are against it. The people who are most likely against it are most likely people who are saying, if it's not in America, I don't care. If it's not happening in America, leave it alone. And then the people who are pro-regime change in Iran are most likely pro-U.S. government, if I had to assume, because I don't think our U.S. government would be doing something that would be bad for the U.S. government, right? And it seems like they really want to go in there and cause ruckus. There's people on both sides of the fence here, and I haven't really, like I said, I haven't really done too much digging into what's going on. Pappy Magnum said, it's my understanding that Iran was becoming extremely modern and friendly to women and such before the current regime, right? It's got to be a joke. Yeah. So you would be pro regime change in Iran. Is that what you're saying, Pappy Magnum? Are you pro regime change in Iran? And if so, what does that even mean? Because there's like regime change in Venezuela, and yet there wasn't like it wasn't like a war. It didn't take like years of, boots on the ground. It was just like an overnight, okay, whoa. Now the vice president is in charge, and it seems like she's working very closely with America. So regime change doesn't automatically mean war. I think that's where a lot of people get the two things confuzzled. I think some people are like, oh, if we do regime change, that means we're going to be in endless wars. And I'm against endless wars. So, um, hey, I don't like endless wars. Endless wars is not a great thing. Um, but it's a battlefield out there. Our world is a battlefield. Love is a battlefield. I think my mom texted me something. Let me see what my mom texted me. Oh, do I want this table? Do I want this table? High top patio table. We're keeping the chairs, but the table's in great shape. It looks great. I'll see you in a few days, Mom. Might have to take that back with us. I'm going to Florida. On Friday, I think. Meg has like a half day. So probably leave here on Friday. I want to say it's like an 8-9 hour drive or something to get down to my parents' new spot in Florida. They moved there recently from Buffalo, New York. Going to be doing a bunch of reviews in Florida, Daytona area, Port Orange area. If you guys have any recommendations and you're watching this, whether it be live or on YouTube or Facebook right now, put it in the comments, dude. I will be reading them. Iran's becoming progressive, said Pappy Magnum. Is that real? Hey, Alexa. Is Iran becoming progressive and kind to women?
I can share some factual context about women's rights developments in Iran. Recent years have seen some policy changes and increased public discussion about women's rights, but the situation remains complex with ongoing restrictions and challenges in various areas of society.
Thanks, Alexa. Christy said, I'm not that knowledgeable in this, but according to Google, before 1979, they were getting more rights. So Pappy Magnum is pro regime change in Iran.
I can share some historical context about women's rights in Iran. Before 1979, there were indeed significant reforms under the Shah's regime, but the situation has evolved considerably since then. Would you like to explore the current political landscape and how it affects women's rights today?
Sure.
The current political landscape in Iran involves complex dynamics around women's rights. There's been some progress in areas like education and workforce participation, but significant restrictions remain in place, particularly regarding personal freedoms and legal protections.
Thank you. That'll be all.
You're welcome. Hope that was helpful.
So, Pappy Magnum, it seems you are pro regime change to make things like they were before for women's rights. Christy said they were able to vote, not required to wear hijabs, able to go to universities and hold high jobs such as doctors, lawyers, etc. Hey, that sounds pretty good for women in Iran. And under the current regime right now, what they go back to like the 1700s or something? It seems like if you're this is just an assumption here, if you're pro women's rights, you would also be pro regime change in Iran. Is that am I picking up what you guys are putting down here? Because it seems like women don't have rights. Bingo, said Pappy Magnum. All right, so yeah, I mean, this is another one of those situations where if it helps the people of Iran and women get rights back, voting rights, dude, that sounds very similar to like what Nick Fuentes pushes. Nick Fuentes really pushes like women shouldn't be allowed to vote. Women shouldn't have high jobs such as doctors or lawyers. Women should stay in the kitchen. Damn, dude. Is Nick Fuentes paid opposition? Nick Fuentes says America first, and yet he also says women shouldn't be allowed to vote. That sounds more like, was it Sharia law? That sounds more like Sharia law. Christy said, I love when a man tells me to stay in the kitchen as a chef. uh, yeah, so the whole regime change in Iran thing, Nick Fuentes is against regime change in Iran, I believe. He is. Nick Fuentes is against regime change in Iran. Pappy Magnum said, wow, what a surprise. Yeah, and as we just broke here on the American Power Hour, it seems like Nick Fuentes is the opposite of America first. It seems like Nick Fuentes is more like Sharia law first. Christy said, and we've already established why he hates women so much. Yes, we have. Yes, we have. That dude's a character. The Nick Fuentes, I think he's had one of the largest, the quickest, most accelerated rise to popularity I've seen in a long time, since maybe like Andrew Tate. And I always study these characters. I always study these people who have these meteoric rises, because it's interesting to me, It's a lot of psychology. And I think he'll have a meteoric fall as well. Christy said the closet is made of glass. Yeah, and I'm already seeing on Twitter, like people are, Nick Fuentes used to tweet something and it'd all be support underneath, and now he tweets something and it's a much more mixed bag of things that people are saying. So, like I said, I think he had a meteoric rise, and he'll most likely have a meteoric fall. It'll be interesting to kind of see him try to, play both sides of hey, fan base, don't be mad at me. And then at the same time, trying to be a mainstream type of person. Nick Fuentes is not a mainstream type of person. He's the type of person to say the N-word on camera and say that women shouldn't be allowed to vote. That's the definition of not mainstream. That's the definition of a very small percentage. A small minority of people. And when those people who are riding with that find out that the contradictions that he has when it comes to gay people and Nick's beliefs, it'll all crumble to the ground. It'll be another thing to study. Why did this happen? How did this happen? And I think we already know. So yes, Syria, we just bombed Syria as well. I believe that's a thing. That we just bombed Syria or did airstrikes in Syria. Let me try to see what's going on with that. Syria. All right, let's see what's going on with Syria here. So it looks like displaced Aleppo residents return home after days of intense clashes. Aleppo, dude. I love a little Aleppo pepper seasoning. I think that's the same thing, isn't it? Is that where the seasoning comes from? Is that where the pepper's from? Syria? U.S. carries out additional large-scale strikes on ISIS targets in Syria. So it looks like they're going after ISIS. Relatively calm in Syria after days of fighting. 6 hours ago, U.S. carries out new strikes against ISIS targets in Syria. Huh. This is all, let's take a look at this. A little map action. little map action here on the American Power Hour. What do you got here? You got Syria. You got Syria here. You got Iran right here. You got Israel right here. And then let's zoom out a little bit. You got Greenland here. Iraq, Iran, Syria, Greenland. Dude, why are we worried about... I was going to say something funny. I don't think it's that funny, though. Why are we worried about Greenland when Russia has to come this way to get to the United States, dude? Greenland's just this random place. Dude, shouldn't Russia be over here? Why am I looking at a map like this? It's like a fake map. It's like a 2D map, dude. Where's China, dude? China's over here, too. China's hanging out. A lot of green. There's more green in Russia than there is in Greenland. That's how I remembered Greenland when I was a kid. Like ice. It was like the opposite. It was like there's ice in Greenland and then there's actually green in Iceland. A little confusing. But what I'm hearing with these passages is that because the ice is melting, like I said, we tried to acquire Greenland in like the 1800s. A couple hundred years later here, the ice is starting to melt in certain areas. And it provides like perfect little passageways for Russia or China to get very close and comfy cozy with the USA. The ice melting, that was another big thing that supposedly we're told it's a reason why we're really pressing for Greenland. What else do we have here? Oh, people thought when we bought Alaska, people thought it was like the worst investment ever, but it ended up being like one of the best investments ever. Alaska, right there with Russia. That's something, huh? So yeah, man, some pretty intense things going on in the world. I don't think did we miss anything here today? I covered a good amount of the news. We talked about the food pyramid. That's chill. That's cool. Anything new with you guys? Today's Monday, January 12th. It's 2 p.m. This is the American Power Hour. We're closing in on an hour here. Let me see something. If you guys did not see The Chauffeur, it's on YouTube. Shout out to Luke Foods and Wayne Dang. They shouted it out on Instagram, which is pretty cool. Shout out to those guys. Awesome food reviewers. Christy said so many people are mad about the food pyramid. I don't know why they would be mad about the food pyramid, you know? The new food pyramid, it makes sense. Like, that's what people should be eating. Lean meats, healthy fats, vegetables, fruits, and then a little bit of rice or pasta or whatever, a little bread action. Those are at the tippy top of the pyramid, right? If you're consuming... What are they mad about, Christy? Are they mad about the actual foods that are... Christy said, I saw a post saying they'll never stop pushing protein maxing down our throats, as if eating all bread all the time is okay. Yeah, I don't know what people would have wanted the largest portion of the food pyramid to be. Like lean meats, fruits, vegetables, that's all you really need. You don't need bread. You don't need to eat bread. Our bodies don't need bread. So to even have it in the food pyramid, where it is now is where it should be. Is like it's like a little extra bullshit. That's what bread is a little extra bullshit in your diet. I love bread. I love bread. But it's bullshit. Especially the bread that we buy at the stores, store-bought bread, little Sara Lee, basically Hostess. Christy said, they say it's the current administration interfering with food. Wow. That's a crazy thing. That's a crazy analysis. Interfering with food. What are they interfering with? Hostess? Are they going to mess up Hostess's bottom line? What did we prioritize before? Didn't we prioritize bread and pasta in the old food pyramid? It was like yeah, stuff yourself with bread and pasta, carbs and sugar, baby, load it up. that's what the old food pyramid was. Christy said, love some biscuits and gravy. Firm flour topped in liquid flour. I didn't even know that was. Oh, yeah. Oh, I get it. That's a cool way to look at it. Firm flour topped in liquid flour. That's a good one. I do love biscuits and gravy. But yeah, it'd be crazy if they were like, you need to eat biscuits and gravy with a side of bread and wash it all down with some pasta. That sounds healthy. Yeah. Somebody mentioned on the previous stream that protein is expensive. I mean, you can get chicken breast for $1.99 a pound. How much does it cost for a pound of bread? That's a great question. You know? Hey, Alexa, if I can buy chicken breast for $1.99 a pound, I'm wondering how much per pound bread costs.
Let me check bread prices. The top result is Nature's Own Butter Bread, a 20-ounce loaf for $3.61. That works out to about $2.89 per pound, which is a bit more than your chicken breast at $1.99 per pound. Want to check other bread options or see if there are better deals?
No, I don't want any more information. You just concluded my bias. Thank you. Confirmation bias.
Ah, caught me red-handed. You got exactly what you were looking for. Proof that bread costs more than chicken. Classic case of asking the right question to get the answer that fits perfectly with what you already suspected.
Christy said, beans, peas, mushrooms, etc. all have protein too. Exactly. So like I said, a lot of people say protein is expensive. If you're buying like grass-fed USDA choice or prime filet, or T-bones, yeah, that's going to be expensive. But it turns out that you can't just throw a blanket over the word protein and that blanket say expensive, because that's factually incorrect. As we just saw, most bread costs more than chicken breast. This goes out to all the people who are saying, well, protein's expensive, and Trump making the food pyramid prioritize protein. They're just trying to extract more money out of the people. Protein's less expensive than bread. What now? What's the qualm now? Because at the end of the day, eating a pound of bread versus a pound of chicken breast, you know who's going to be healthier? Not the person eating a pound of bread, or a pound of pasta, or a pound of rice. If you eat a pound of chicken breast, you're going to be way healthier. than the person who eats pounds of carbs, starchy carbs that our body doesn't need, dude. Our body doesn't need them. You can get your carbs from fruit. You can get your carbs from fruit. We don't need bread. It's anybody saying that our bodies need bread and rice and pasta out of their mind. Literally don't know a single thing about nutrition. Christy said, good Lord, imagine a whole pound of rice. I couldn't imagine that. It sounds insane. And I'm not saying only eat protein. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is eat a balance of protein coming from lean meat, such as a chicken breast or something. And then you get your carbs from fruits, because fruits have fiber. And when you take in the sugar that's in fruits and you eat the actual fruit, you're getting the carbs from the sugar, but it also comes along with the fiber. And what does the fiber do? The fiber helps us digest, and it helps our bodies utilize that sugar way more than if you were to eat like a Hostess Twinkie or something. So that's the difference in carbohydrates. We can't just put a blanket over carbohydrates and say all is bad, because there's good carbs that we can get from fruit. You know, it comes with natural fiber, which is a great thing. A whole pound of rice. Yeah, that would be, my gosh. So yeah, being upset at the food pyramid just tells people that you know nothing about nutrition. That's basically all it says. And if people say it's too expensive to eat like this, you can go ahead and say chicken breast costs less than bread. And they'll be like, "What do you mean?" Well, you can get chicken breast for $1.99, $2.15 a pound, $2.25 a pound, depending on where you are in the country. If you're in a cucked location, then yeah, you might end up paying a little bit more for your chicken breast. But that's not because it's more expensive. It's because of the location. Location. I don't think there's too much else. I mean, the Buffalo Bills are incredible. As I said last week, they're going to win the Super Bowl, and I told you exactly who they're going to play, where they're going to play, and how they're going to do it to get there. I don't think I'll be streaming Friday, because I do believe I'll be on the road going to Florida, which will be a lot of fun. A lot of good stuff. And I think Monday we're driving back. So I think Friday and Monday we'll miss the show. I will be live here on Wednesday. I'll be live here Wednesday. And then you won't see me again for a week, because the next show after that will be the following Wednesday. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who is here today. Everyone in the chat, Christy, Pappy Magnum, Zeke Weave, everyone that's watching right now, thank you so much for being here today on Monday. This is the American Power Hour. Mackenzie, you want to say goodbye to everyone? She is folded up like one of those Chinese fortune tellers. Those little paper things, you used to make in like middle school, and you'd fold it up and be like, pew, 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 pew. And you'd pick a color and then pick a number. You guys remember those things? People used to make those in school, I remember, and like you would do it, you'd be like, okay, blue, and there'd be 4 colors on it. You'd be like, all right, blue, and then they'd be like, pick a number, and then you'd be like, all right, 3, and then every time it's just like, and then they're like, oh, you're gay. And it's like, oh, what do you mean? And then you try it again, and you pick like yellow and 3. And it's just like, you're gay. And it's like, dude, let me see this thing. Is this every one of these you're gay? Because, oh, man. Your choices have consequences. Oh, my gosh. That's crazy. So, yeah, guys, thanks so much for being here. And we'll catch you on Wednesday. I'm going to do reviews tomorrow. I think in Salisbury. Don't follow me, though. That would be crazy. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Peace out, and we'll catch you on Wednesday. Even Mackenzie's done. Mackenzie's like, let's go outside, Dad. All right, we're going outside. Peace out, everyone.